Hi, Runner Story family. This is Allison Gilliard with Runner Story, where every story needs to be heard. And making sure that your stories are being heard this month are our friends of Ainsley's Angels, especially the Ainsley's Angels of South Alabama, the brand new chapter. We are so excited. We love Ainsley's Angels. We are coming off being at Crescent City Classic, and it's such an amazing opportunity just to get to know riders and runners and hear their stories and what they love about Ainsley's. So shout out to Ainsley's Angels. A special shout out to our friends of Greater New Orleans, that chapter. They did an outstanding job. Crescent City Classic. Guys, if you want to run, if you want to be a rider, reach out to our friends at Greater New Orleans, and we'd love to see you there next year. We'll be back. It's absolutely amazing and incredibly thankful to see the finish lines, to hear the stories that are made possible through Ainsley's Angels. And if you are not of South Alabama, I encourage you to reach out and find a local chapter, get involved, be someone's legs, help someone create a finish line memory that is possible through Ainsley's Angels. Absolutely amazing. And if you don't have a chapter, reach out to national@ainsleysangels.org and figure out how you can bring Ainsley's Angels to you. It's absolutely amazing, and you will not be disappointed. Oh, all I can say is, guys, you might need a tissue for this one. I cried a little bit. Our incredible friend, Dylan Ledbetter, who I met through Instagram, started following him. Truly an inspirational individual. He is absolutely incredible. And hearing his story, he's an overcomer. He is a veteran. Thank you for your service, Dylan. An absolutely extraordinary individual. And part of his story is overcoming sobriety. And he does that through running. And not only does he run, but now he runs ultramarathons. And wait till you guys hear his story, like how fast-paced it went. You're like, what just happened? You might have to go listen again, and you might want to carry some tissues with you. So definitely just giving you a little warning there. Dylan, thank you for your heart. I'm so proud of you, my friend. You are a true man of faith, and what you're doing in the running world is incredible. So keep it up. Guys, if you're not following him, please follow him on Instagram. You're going to be inspired. He loves to crew other people. He loves to cheer on other people, but he's also an amazing runner himself. So lace up those running shoes, get ready, get set, and go run with my friend Dylan and his run story. Well, thanks, Dylan, for being here. I'm really excited about your story because I came across, I guess we just follow mutual people. And I started seeing your content and was like, this is somebody I have to have on the podcast, because not only have you probably now more than full 14 ultramarathons, but you also, most importantly, have a story of sobriety and redemption, which is just, I love that so much and appreciate that. And then for those that don't know, which it may come up in the podcast, you also have a cornhole podcast. So that's a fun fact about you.
Yeah, I do. We do it weekly, just live on Facebook and YouTube. It's not like Spotify or anything like that. We just have fun with the viewers. So we do it live, read the comments as we go, and have a good time. We've been doing that almost 3 years.
That's amazing. Oh, wow. So, Dylan, how did we get here? How did you become the ultramarathoner that you are? How does your run story begin?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a long story that could be condensed. So I'm going to condense it a little bit. But I was an athlete growing up. Baseball and wrestling were my main focuses. So running a little bit just to be in shape for things like that, but no formal track or cross country or anything of that nature. I then joined the military when I was 18 in the U.S. Army. That was 2013. And I did that for 8.5 years. So there's a lot of running involved in that, or at least you think there's a lot of running involved in that. And it's funny, I go back to like my Garmin stats the other day just to add up the mileage I've done since I started really running, in my opinion. And when I thought I was running a lot in the Army, my yearly mileage was like 200 miles. It's like, it seems nothing compared to what we are now, but then it's okay, like we run a lot. In the Army, it's like, dude, you don't even know what running is. And so I guess you could say it started there, but that's somewhat indoctrinated, forced running, involuntary running, whatever you want to call it. But I've always been competitive. So I wanted to be good at it regardless of if I liked it or not. It didn't really matter. It's, hey, I want to be good at this thing. I want to beat the guy to my left and my right. I got out of the military in 2021. And then that's where I was like, I swore off running, and I've told this to
Mm,
everybody, and that's the truth. Like when you get out of the military, you're like, I'm done running. There's no point in that. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna get big. I'm gonna look good, and I don't have to run anymore. I don't have to breathe heavily. And so I was like, I'm done running. That's 2021 July, and so then I'm kind of just moving through life, and it's not really going that well. I lost a lot of my purpose, and
mm,
something I'll probably talk about a little bit today is how important it is to find your purpose and then
mm,
chase it, and really understand. I'm a Christian now, and I believe that the Lord has a purpose for us. Do we always know that we are on that correct path? No, but I think if you're progressing forward, you're doing the right thing.
mm,
And so I lost my purpose was in the military training soldiers. I got out as a staff sergeant. So I was a leader for about 4.5 years before I got out. So my purpose was really serving others and passing knowledge and things of this nature. When I got out and I didn't really have a job for a second, I was going to school, getting paid to do that, things like that. I didn't have a purpose. I was like, what are we working towards? And
mhm,
it's like, oh, we're just going to school to make sure I make money. And I'm supposed to do that because I should have a degree so I can get a better job in the future. And then maybe we'll find something then. And I'm moving through life. I get a job opportunity to work. I'm an athletics groundskeeper, which I still do that now. I've been doing it a little over 4 years. And so that's a better income. And school just wasn't really working out for me. And it was April 2022. I had a friend pass away in a motorcycle accident.
mm,
And it was really tough. He was my roommate at the time too. So we'd lived together for about a year. I spoke at both of his funerals. I met his mom just after this, but she was sending us stuff. I knew her. It was a really tough experience for me.
sure.
And I was coping with alcohol mainly, also just really self-loathing. Like I just didn't care about me much.
Mm,
I didn't care about anybody else either. Because if you don't care about yourself, you definitely don't usually care about anybody else around you either. I didn't have faith. I didn't have really a good fitness platform either. I was going to the gym, kind of wasn't. It was more like a local regular at the bar that's half a mile from my house.
mm,
So that's how I'm coping with things. And then in February, I don't remember how I stumbled across David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me, but somebody sends it to me and I'm like, okay, I'll listen to it on Audible. And David Goggins is this rah rah in your face. But I heard the book had a bigger story because all you see is the running and the
mm,
yelling and the F bombs and
sure,
the you're
sure.
not good enough. But
Mm,
at this point, I think it was good for me to hear that because I wasn't good enough.
mm,
Legitimately, I'd lost everything that I was in the military.
mm,
And so I was like, okay, maybe I can spark some motivation from this book and maybe change my path a little bit. Not thinking running, I'm just thinking in life. Like I need
sure.
a mindset shift. And in the book, David talks about the 4x4 by 48. So you run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. So a total of 48 miles across 2 days, essentially. Well, me and my friend who passed away and a few others were supposed to do this challenge in 2020. So this was like a huge callback for me,
Mm,
right? It's, oh, wow, like this seems like I was really supposed to read this book. And now it seems like I'm really supposed to do this challenge for my friend, right? And we're coming up on almost a year since he's passed away. So that's the motivation to begin running because you don't just run 48 miles in 2 days without at least trying to put some miles down. And so I think it was the first week of March 3 years ago, almost to the day, I ran a 50-mile week. And I'm like, if I can run 50 miles in a week, I could do 48 in 2 days, hopefully. And raised $200 on this little Facebook thing. Hey, raise money for me to run 50 miles in a week or whatever, get it done. And I was really finding myself out there when I was running. I was really exploring the things that I was neglecting with alcohol and things like this when I was running, but I was doing it healthily and
mhm,
I was processing throughout this. So as I start running to get in shape to do this challenge, now my mental fitness is increasing. I didn't even know that was possible because when I was running in the army, it's just run fast, get it done. That's it. I wasn't going out for runs at my own pace. And this is so important if you want to start running is really not caring about the clock or your watch for a little while, or at least
mhm.
even now, usually once a week, I'll do a run where I don't look at my watch at all. I don't care about the splits. I want to run smooth. I want to run with a clear mind, and that stuff doesn't have to matter right now. Keep the heart rate low and just enjoy. Be at that party pace, whatever you want to call it. Where you're just partying in your mind, like you're having a good time. You're
Mm,
really enjoying it. You're not having to focus on your breathing because it's all low and slow. So I was able to do that, and I was finding a lot of mental clarity in that and finding that running is my therapy type thing that people tell you that you don't believe until you get there. And so we complete the 4x4 by 48. Right before that, I run a half marathon. I'm just exploring this long distance stuff and finding it really exciting and really a great place for me to discover who I was and how to become who I want to be.
Mm,
And trying to, people always ask, and people that don't run, what are you running from? And I think most of us would answer like our past selves, at least in
mhm.
the beginning for sure. Now I think of myself more as running towards Jesus, which still
Mhm.
correlates to running from my past self,
Sure.
considering that person didn't have that. So I don't ever want that guy to catch me is a mantra that I tell myself a lot is if
Yeah.
that guy catches up, we're going to be in a tough spot again.
Mm.
So we run a half marathon. I run a full marathon in April, and this is where we're going to go through the progression really quick here. So a half marathon, St. Patrick's Day, March, a full marathon, April 26th, and then a ultra 50 miles, June, I think 14th, the Mid-State Mile, and then I run 100 miles on a 24-hour 1 mile loop in July.
And this was
So
all stemming from February.
yes, essentially. The last
Wow.
week of February, I started running, and then the first week of March, I ran my first 50-mile week. Yeah, and then first half marathon, which is my longest run ever, was March 17th, and then 104 miles on a 24-hour 1 mile loop on July, I think 18th or 19th. So really quick, which this seemed very exciting in the moment until you realize that you have to match this. Like, oh no, like I thought it was going to take me 2 years to run a 100 miler. Cause when you find out about ultra marathons, you're excited and you see people running hundreds and doing it in sub 24 hours and how it's such a big deal.
Mm.
And thinking that's going to be really far out. And then I just got invited to this 1 mile loop. And after running 50 miles at Midstate, I was like, if I can just run a couple miles at a decent pace and then sit down, eat, drink, and then do it again over and over, I might be able to pull off 100 miles. And that's what happened. And a huge piece of my testimony happened at that 100 mile race is just, and I've told this story before, where at mile 40, I just felt like my legs were in a compromised position and something which I credit to the Holy Spirit now told me that, hey, you're running right now. How your legs feel is going to just stay this way if you continue to move forward. And now a lot of ultra runners know this is like the steady state or the flow state or enjoying the suffering.
Mm, mhm.
And I didn't have anything to credit this to. I didn't know that existed. And in this moment, a calling told me that I was going to be okay. And we continued on, and mile 41 occurred. And these are super biblical numbers for anybody who is a Christian, too, right? The 40 days and nights of rain. And
Mm.
then on the 41st day, right, the sun comes, right? So it's like everybody, there's chase your 41 or what is your
Oh,
41?
wow.
What does that bring to light moment? And as a new Christian, I'd given myself to Christ for a month at this point in this 100 mile race that I was running or 24-hour loop. And to find this, I had no idea about these numbers and their significance until still months later from this. And now it's like such a huge part of my testimony.
Mm.
But then I didn't know why mile 40 would be that. And maybe it's all random, right? And we could write it off as a coincidence. But as a Christian now, that seems impossible
Sure.
for a number with that much biblical significance to then also be such a huge piece of my testimony. But yeah, that's the start.
Wow. I'm emotional just listening because I just can having been around other friends that have gone through ultramarathon and they talk about the grit and how it's just such a mental of I want to quit or I have to quit or whatever happens. But to have that moment, as you talked about, like your belief was there, the faith was there, the Holy Spirit was there. And at mile 40, just to have that assurance of you're not in this alone, that's incredible.
Yeah, and I think
Mm.
that's a lot what it is, and I think we also know as welcoming as the ultra community is, in the beginning, it's a little bit lonely and a little bit frightening, right? You're kind of like new guy or new girl on the block wherever you show up, which is nice in a way because you don't have anything to prove, right?
Sure.
It's whatever happens. Like if I packed up at 10 miles, people wouldn't really know anyways, you know?
That's
But
fair. Okay.
yeah. But in reality, it was nice in that moment to know that what you're saying is it wasn't just me out there. And especially in that looped format where you're going to run with some people, but if you're at a pace going for 100 and sub 24, there's not a ton of people doing that. And I didn't realize that till the nighttime when it seemed like we went from 30 or 40 runners to like four of us
Mhm.
left out
Sure.
there.
Yeah.
Like, oh, where'd everybody go? And it's just, I'm still running loops and everybody else is, I think they're sleeping. That sounds pretty nice, but we've got something to accomplish out here. But yeah, the community is always so good. And now I have friends, almost all of my friends are now ultra runners for the most part. And that happens just as fast as it seems the progression of mileage and the addiction to the running and chasing the suffering and things of this manner.
Wow. Let me ask you this, and if, it may be a little too personal, but when you went back and you had that realization, so, the ultra marathons over, you ran your first 100 miler and you go back and you're realizing what happened at mile 40 and then chasing that number 41, the significance of 41. What kind of impact was that on you?
So for a really long time, I was a Christian young, and then I grew out of it, and I really grew out of it in Iraq. I was reading
Mm,
the Bible in Iraq, right? I was deployed there in the army, and I only read the Old Testament, which please, folks, read both things or else things, like I said, and I was seeing a third world country, and I fell out of faith seeing a third world country and then only reading Old Testament laws and Old Testament stories, which seem extremely far-fetched if you don't know about the covenant and the New
sure.
Testament and
Mhm.
things of this manner. So I fell out of faith by trying to discover faith without an actual open mind, like wanting to do it. So what it gave me in this moment was the realization that I can no longer disprove this thing, right? And I can't point,
Mhm.
I can't give people the Holy Spirit, right? The Holy Spirit
Okay.
that entered me, I can't give that to you. Like
Yeah,
you have to discover that on your own.
absolutely.
But once it happens to you, the transformation of your mind of knowing I will no longer question you, Lord, like ever again,
Mm.
that's what occurred, right? And it gives me
Mhm.
goosebumps like right now,
Yeah,
right now,
absolutely.
because it's so special and it will change your entire life. And even in the month in between, like June to July, like I'm just a month into faith and I'm still questioning a lot of things. The
Sure.
Bible tells me to question things. So I'm like, this is okay. Like we're working through it. But then to have something that tells you something that you shouldn't have any knowledge of, and it's true and it works,
Mm.
it was my legitimate turning point in becoming a Christian and understanding that I will never go back to being secular, you know?
Mm. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate how you talked about you're trying to outrun the former you, old self. That is what an incredible description. And that is very biblical. That's what scripture tells us to do is to lay down former self and chase Jesus. And that's what you're doing. That's incredible.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Man. So there's been some lessons that you've learned from running. So would you like to share some of those?
Yeah, I've learned a lot of lessons. How to eat correctly
Mhm.
is one of them. If we're just getting down to like more of the running grassroots, my first ultra marathon, I ate one Uncrustable every hour on the hour.
Oh, okay.
This is decent. It's a little too carby for me at least. And to put it in perspective, like I didn't have a bowel movement for 15 hours,
No.
which becomes a problem, right? Obviously, if the things are going in and not coming out, like you're carrying them and that is going to wear on you eventually. How to use electrolytes correctly. I use Element. Element is my favorite. Also paired with salt pills, depending on humidity and heat and
Okay,
things
sure.
like that. But the main thing you learn from running and while running is how to endure. And this is and how to choose suffering, how to do it healthily,
Mm,
and how to be willing go into things that you are afraid of, if that makes sense.
yeah,
That the goals should seem unreachable. And most of the time, in my opinion, you shouldn't reach your goals, right? Like they should be so far out there that they seem unreachable. But if you continue to work for them, you may just surprise yourself. And I think that's what happened that first time I ran 100 miles. Like, this doesn't, on paper, there's no reason I should complete this.
true.
There's no reason. But because I paired this incredible goal with a little bit of training and then a lot of faith in not just myself, but in
Mm,
Jesus, it showed me that maybe something special can happen if you pair these things together. But make sure you set that goal, because if you set the goal low, and you complete it, you may never surprise yourself. And then you understand that your potential is truly untapped. So, really understanding how to endure. And then when you do, like that translates straight to your life, right?
absolutely.
Because when you choose suffering, the unchosen suffering is easier to get through. When I say unchosen
Mm,
suffering, the worst things, folks. And I hate deaths in family and pets or bankruptcy or losing your job or your car breaks down. These things start to seem more minuscule and easier to deal with the more you choose suffering in your daily life. And that's been my experience is I know what hard feels like.
mm,
I've got through this thing in the past, whether it was emotional or physical. I can get through the thing that I'm in right now or the next thing that's going to occur.
wow.
Yeah, so
That's
and then there's
great.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, there's some things I tell myself, and they both apply to running and to especially my sobriety, but really it can apply
Mm,
to anything. And in looped races, I always tell people if you did the last one, you can do the next one.
mm,
And then for sobriety, for people, I tell them if you did it yesterday, you can do it today. And if you did it today, you can do it tomorrow.
mm,
And this applies to just everything. And when we seem overwhelmed, there's almost always a time we can call back to that was more overwhelming than the time that we're in currently.
Mm.
Or if it's not, then you just think back to your hardest time. And you're like, okay, well, I got through that and I'm here now. I can get through the newest hard time. And that's really important to know and not really hurt yourself trying to think that I can't get through this. It's
Mm.
just one step at a time, literally and figuratively, and you'll get through it. You'll get through the suffering. But to choose it is going to strengthen that muscle and help you understand that you can do it over and over again.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, wow. Mhm. Yeah, I thought I had a follow-up question to that, and I don't, because that's just I think so much of scripture I think there's a reason why it parallels running and life. I think in faith, like, it goes hand in hand is because, like you said, running, you have to endure, and you have to do it, and you have to put in the work, and you have to cross that finish line, or you have to pack it up, or whatever the case may be, but you have to get through that, and I love that analogy so much. Work that endurance muscle for sure. Mm.
Yeah, and in sobriety, they call it the sober muscle, and it's also like saying no to drinking or something like that, or like I said, it can even be as simple as sitting on the couch and eating potato chips, like, rather than doing that, going on the 1-mile walk is
Mm.
always going to be better, right?
Mm.
It's just like we have to choose the hard thing rather than the easy thing.
Oh, that's so good. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. That was really good advice.
Yeah, thank you.
So, you've done a lot of running, my friend. Do you have a favorite race?
The Mid-State Mile is my favorite
Okay.
race. For those that don't know what it is, it's about a 1.1 mile loop with 350 feet of gain in the loop and loss. So two massive hills here. You have 20 minutes to complete it. You start again every 20 minutes. It's last man standing format.
Wow.
So it is the ultimate test of endurance and showing up again. You have an aid station essentially every mile away from you. You don't have to run the loop fast. You could probably speed walk a 19-minute mile even with the hills. But it's my home race. It's an hour away. It was my first ultra marathon. Becca Jones and John Cox, who are the race directors, are just incredible people and they're friends of mine. And the community of doing a 1 mile loop and you start again together, there's not many races that are like this. There's another one called Inkum in Idaho that's modeled after the Mid-State Mile, but you all start together again. And at this race specifically, you're not allowed to wear headphones.
Oh.
So you have to communicate with everybody. And this builds a community out there that has become like a family to me. And now I've done 3 years out there. So I'm somewhat of a veteran and I feel the burden to carry on what this community is and spread the love. And because you're out there for a long time and
Mhm.
you're doing a lot of walking and you're climbing up hills. So like the jokes come and you have a good time. I like to start the loop and maybe I have to go pee real quick. And then I'll be in the back of the pack and I'll catch up to everybody. And I like to just get behind them on the hill. And then you look up, you see everybody climbing the hill. I just like to yell up on them, tell everybody they have nice butts. You know what I mean? Or something like that. Or, oh, we're all working on our glutes today. And because people are suffering out there, it doesn't matter what mile you're on.
Sure,
Like
sure.
this is a tough hill every
Mhm.
single time. And so like it's little things. And I learned that from the people before me. You know, I came out there and what makes this race special too is I learned that being a competitive person is good, but you have to be able to check your ego at the door a little
Sure.
bit
Mhm.
and bring others with you and be
Mm.
encouraging. And for me specifically, this has always propelled my race farther than the races I showed up to as the cutthroat competitor, right? The I'm dog eat dog, like I'm the best, nobody's gonna beat me. And I think there's a place for that and a little bit in my mind, but it stays there now, right? I don't show a mean face. Like I'm there with a smile. I want to communicate with everybody. Like I want to make new friends. I want to give advice. I want to receive advice. And this is what ultra running the community taught me is the more advice you give to people, I think the better your own race is going to go a lot of the time.
Mm.
Like instead of worrying about beating everybody, let's try to get everybody as far as they can go. And hopefully I can go longer than that. And that's the goal.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's my favorite
I
race.
love that. Do you have a race that you're kind of like, wasn't my best, or I want to go back and redo it, or listen, it was not my race. I'm not going back. I've got nothing to prove.
Yeah, there's a couple, and I heard you ask this question, and so I thought of 2 races
Okay.
specifically. The Tennessee Mile, which is the same course as Mid-State Mile, but there's a 40-hour option. So it's open
Hmm.
where you can run the loop as fast or slow as you want for 40 hours.
Okay.
Every time I complete that race, I tell myself I'll never do it again, and then I sign back up every single time, 3 years in a row. I told the guys we raced this year, and me and my buddies Brian and Doug, We took first, second, and third, and we all agreed we're not going to sign up, right? We're done with this race. We completed it. We're done. And literally a week later, they do it 50% off. And I sign up, and these guys are like, Dylan, what the heck, dude? I'm like, dude, it's 50% off. I got to go. And so now I'm back in for next
Oh, that's
year.
fair.
So I hate it though. So that to answer your question, I hate it. 40 hours on a 1 mile loop is not for the faint of heart.
hmm
So that's my hate race, although I will probably do it, Lord willing, anytime I can. I still hate it. To redo a race, I just ran the Run Love It 100 in Arkansas,
Okay.
and I ran okay. I think 21:42 or 43, but I had stomach issues the entire time, like starting at mile 14, like lower intestinal cramping.
Oh,
I had somewhere between 8 and 12 trail poops. Like it's so
yeah.
bad. So many issues with overloading carbs, I think. And so I tried something new. It obviously didn't work. But I had sloshy stomach for probably 70 miles of the race.
Oh.
I had these cramps from mile, I think it was 14 to 36 and a half until I got some Imodium and some Tums.
Mm.
And then I was hammering 2 Tums every 2 hours. So to know that I ran a pretty good race with these issues really makes me think how much faster could this have been? And quick math puts me at probably like an hour faster just based
Mm.
on the bowel movements that were happening and how
Sure.
long those were taking me.
Mm.
So let alone like just the feeling of my stomach, like it had to have slowed me down in some capacity. So I think I could be a lot faster out there, and it's a really tough race. So I'd really like to redo that next year if I'm available, if I was to pick one.
Wow. Man. Okay. I'm telling you, it's wild about what happens to human bodies and nature for these ultra marathons. Absolutely wild. Bonkers.
Yeah, I never had stomach issues before then too, like, never really had them, and which I'm thankful for this. I run Cocodona 250 in May.
Mhm.
So, for me to go through the stomach issues for probably 70 miles and understand that I still ran pretty good,
Sure.
gave me a lot of faith knowing that if an issue like this occurs in the future, that I can work through it and that I'm not going to quit.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's a great lesson learned there. Wow. Yeah. Okay, so let's shift a little bit to what does routine look like for you? So you're gearing up for an ultramarathon. What does pre-race routine look like?
Pre-race routine, I like to eat about 2 hours beforehand, something fairly heavy that I know is gonna give me energy, things like that. And then I like to just communicate with everybody, get my shoes ready, put on the friction prescription or salty britches, like the lube or whatever
Mhm.
everybody's using, get everything, get the gear prepared, and a lot depends on what the race start time is and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But really, I just like to see everybody. It's always a nice moment when you get to a race, and you're always seeing, especially now, I'm 3 years in, and so you know almost somebody every single time you show
Mhm.
up to a race. So being able to communicate with your friends and engage and see what their goals are and laugh at each other's goals usually and things like that. I like to also just take it in. I always pray, of course, just really grateful to be there, thankful to God for allowing me to be in the position that I'm in. You just don't know how much time you have doing things like this. And as young as I am, you still don't know. So I think it's really important to be grateful. And before the race is a great time to do that. Although I would encourage be grateful before the race, during the race, and after the race.
Mm.
Gratitude is something that can really change your life, and understanding what you have is so much more important than what you don't have.
Mm.
So every time I show up to a race, just to be there is really incredible. Whatever happens after that is either going to be just as incredible or it's going to be a lesson learned. Also, just usually my girlfriend's there as my crew. So we have a conversation about how the race is going to go, how we think it's going to go, and then we just prepare.
Wow. That's that's fantastic. Okay, so cross the finish line. You've endured, you've made it, you've overcome some things that have happened in the woods. What does post-race routine look like?
Yeah, first you're going to take a seat. Like it's time to sit down for a little bit. I usually like to usually I drink a coffee too, it doesn't really matter what time it is. I don't like to drink coffee during the race because it dehydrates me, like, I get that taste in my mouth,
Mm.
but so I like to have a coffee, and then it's just Honestly, I like to move a little bit because if I sit down for too long, I'm going to get injured.
Mm.
Not actually injured, but the longer you don't move after the race, I'm not saying go start running again. No,
Oh,
I'm just
really?
saying
Not
like,
just go do another ultra right after?
yeah, run it back, baby. But so just getting some movement in and things like that, and then trying to rest. Many people talk about this, but you're not going to rest well, like when it comes to sleep,
Mm.
especially if you ended the race. In my last race, I ended around 3 in the morning. So to get somewhere and try to get some hours of sleep, like it's good to lay down. Your body needs it. Like you need to get your heart rate down and things like that. But just be prepared that you probably won't sleep. And even if you do, it's not going to be good.
Mm.
And then also one of the big post-race things, like I said, speaking about the gratefulness, because the post-race depression is going to hit
Mhm.
eventually.
Mhm.
And if people don't know what that is, I can explain it in a minute. But so just understanding that what you did is incredible and giving yourself credit for it, no matter how it went, even if it was a DNF. Just
Mm.
like I said, just like going back to the pre-race routine, like towing the line was a big thing. And I think a lot of people can get caught up in my performance wasn't what I wanted it to be. Well, a performance that you didn't want it to be is better than a performance that didn't happen at all. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I really try to think about that, whether it was good or bad. And I've really had good performances mainly. And then a lot of it, though, is digesting what happened in the race and really writing that stuff down in my notes or on a piece of paper because it could leave your mind in the days coming. So I like to get down what we did good and then what we did bad so that we can learn and expand upon that. I think it's a really good time to reflect. And then just honestly replying to all the people that have messaged me because at least I love it. Like I had so many messages to reply to, which is so great. I'm just
Yeah.
not I don't listen to music when I race either. So I listen to it when I train and stuff and podcasts. But when I race, I like to be really involved in the environment and present, like in the space that I'm in.
Mm.
And I
Mhm.
like to work through the suffering on my own. I think that as an addict, and many addicts will tell you, like we've used something to cope for a long time. So to be able to just rely on yourself and no external factors brings you a lot of power.
Mm. Mhm.
So as much as people are like, oh, well, music isn't that. It's, well, music can be that. And for a lot of people, it is. It's, oh, well, I got to listen to my hit song to get through this section, or I'm having a tough time. I got to put on XYZ.
Mhm.
I really encourage people, and like I said, I practice this in working through it on your own. And if that's talking to Jesus, if that's talking to yourself, if that's something like that, but doing it on your own, I think is going to lend you a lot of power and really put a lot of self respect back into you. So that's mainly post race, though.
Mm, that's good. That's really good. I have to know, do you have a favorite running item? Because you've already talked about you don't listen to music, so you don't need headphones. But is there an item that you're like, I have to take this with me?
If it's a long run, yeah, or a race, the waist lights are a game changer.
Mm.
So if
Okay.
you're somebody that only does headlamps, and right now I pair it, right? Like I do both,
Mm.
but the waist light brings a ton of vision that you don't have with the headlamp. And you can still like turn if you have if you pair them, you can still look left and right for maybe things moving in the bushes or maybe
Mhm.
somebody's next to you or you don't know what's out there. You know what I mean? You're gonna maybe the hallucinations that are out there, like you're gonna find them still if you have your headlamp on, but like everything in front of you stays lit with the waist light.
Mm.
So that's been really good. And then depending on the race, the poles are a lifesaver.
Mm.
At mid-state mile, you don't get poles for the first 12 hours. So at 12 hours, those things seem like a saving grace. Like you're like, oh man,
Sure.
the hill is so much easier. Well, and then
Mhm.
eventually it gets hard again. But I would really say though, is the waist light. If you haven't invested in a waist light, anybody, it will change the way you night run. Like it
Mm.
will be something that you don't forget.
Mm. Do you have a favorite brand that you like for your waist light?
I use Ultraspire.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Ultraspire
yeah.
stuffs, yeah, they're really good. I just got a pack from them too. I'm using a Solomon and an Ultraspire pack. I like to trade packs out, like, when I'm racing.
Yeah.
It's just way easier. Here's the pack 1 setup. Here's the pack 2 setup. Pack
Mhm.
2 is for usually 8 miles plus, and then pack 1 will be for, like, 8 or less
Mm.
between aid station to aid station. That's just with the nutrition and things like that. But yeah, Ultraspire waist light. I think I'm using the 600 lumen and
Mhm.
it's plenty lit up. And I ran on the medium setting for, gosh, I think 6 hours of
Mm.
dark with
Mhm.
no issue. So pretty good
Yeah.
too. The batteries are easy to carry and they're easy to switch out, stuff like that. So I would just recommend that waist light to anybody.
That's awesome. That's a great recommendation. Let's talk shoes. What do you like to run in?
Man, I've got everything. Like, I am not nailed down on anything, to be honest, and, like, a new one pops up, I'm like, "Okay, like, maybe I should try it out." Because right now and I've run great in certain shoes, but I
Mhm.
still won't stick to them. I really won't.
Okay, okay.
It's weird. I think it's I don't know what's wrong with me, but,
I
like, it
understand
made
that.
yeah, it's tough. But at Mid-State, I ran, like, the Nike Pegasus Trail 4s, and they're great. I have another pair now. But then Mountain Coast came out with the H1. I'm really loving that shoe,
Mm,
and I ran almost all of Love-It in that shoe. It's like a hybrid trail shoe,
mhm,
so not super aggressive with the tread, but has a ton of cushion. So I think it really helps just with feet pain and things like that. And then I just got a pair of Speedlands, so we're gonna try those out a little bit. I've just done some gravel running in them. They're a little aggressive on the tread, so we'll see. Maybe to start Cocodona with the shale rock and stuff like that, they may be a really good option.
mhm, mhm.
That's all my trail running shoes. And then for road, I'm big on the Asics Nova Blast.
Yes.
They're
Mhm.
so nice. They're so comfy. And, Saucony Endorphin Shift,
Mhm,
and then I also have a pair of I think they're called Nike Speed Turbos. I just use them for speed work,
mhm.
and that's most of also Mountain Coast R1s, but I only wear the R1s if I'm gonna run super long, like road. I'm not wearing them for short stuff, but the Nova Blast are my go-to daily. They're just so comfy.
Mm.
They're easy to run in, they're light. If you wanna run a little bit of tempo stuff, they can pull that off too. But yeah, that's so, what did I name? Like 8 different pairs of
I
shoes.
sounded great. I was just envisioning walking into your closet and being like, "You know what? What are we gonna wear today, guys? What are we feeling?" I think it's
They're
great. I
everywhere.
think it's great. I'm here for it. Okay, so you've already mentioned a little bit about the importance of nutrition. So, when you're preparing for your ultras, what does long fuel look like for you?
A lot of gels, and then I like oatmeal. I'm a big oatmeal
Okay.
guy, and I just have jet boil, so it's super easy even if I'm racing alone, just to heat up a cup of water and then throw the oatmeal in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I like cheese quesadillas.
Yeah.
Usually most
Okay.
aid stations have them, and then I'm also eating a lot of Luna bars that I take in my pack. Those are just a little bit of protein, high density carb. Like, you can't hammer them down because I don't wanna get too crazy on the high density carb stuff,
Sure.
but they're fulfilling. But I would really say probably my number 1, if I was just to pick something, it would be oatmeal for aid stations. I think it really has the right components, and the consistency is really easy to digest is the phrasing we'll go with.
Sure. Sure.
And I think that's really important. I didn't know how to fuel, and then at Mid-State last year with the 20-minute loops, you wanna eat every loop essentially,
Mm.
and I took a technique that was small, medium, large on eating. So I would have a gel for the first loop, and then a Stinger waffle or something of that nature with some fruit on the second loop, and then on the third loop, I would have oatmeal or like a turkey avocado wrap, like
Mm.
half of one of
Mhm.
those or something like that, and then just recycling through that. So I try to run like that too now, where the first stuff I eat is light and then get medium and then get heavy and then bring it back down to the light. And what I'm finding with that is my digestion is better.
Mm. That's a great technique. That's really cool to play around with.
It's working so
Yeah,
far.
there we go. Okay, great. All right. So, do you have a memory that either when you think about running, it makes you laugh, or you're just like, wow, that's like such a great running memory? Just when you think about this memory, you're just like, yes, that's what running is about.
Yeah, I mean, the one I spoke of earlier is good, but I ran a backyard, my first ever backyard race, which, if you guys don't know, it's 4.167 miles every hour on the hour, last man standing
Mm.
format, with a bunch of people that I didn't know very well. East Coast Adventures, which is my race team now, but they were putting on the race along with the long run shop. And I ran with my buddy Daniel Castro. We ran 20 hours together, the same exact pace, which is pretty rare.
Yeah.
Like, people don't usually stick together for that long, but we agreed on 50 minutes a loop, and I didn't waver and he didn't waver. So what was really special is he got the assist and I won the race, but doing it, that's not what matters. What matters is that we ran the entire time together. And it's
Mm.
really where it changed my mindset of the cutthroat competitor to what I call a good competitor. And that's
Sure.
somebody who really cares about the people next to them. Because it would have been easy for me to just drop Daniel at some point and run faster
Mm.
because I want to show you I'm stronger right now. But what I realized is that we were stronger together. And what that did, and I'm going to seem a little bit rude here, but this was breaking the will of the other runners, is how strong we looked together and
Mm.
how much fun we were having. We were laughing, joking, and everybody at a backyard usually starts faster than 50 minutes loops. Like they're doing 45s and 47s and 48s. And me and Daniel are just like, we're chilling at 50. And eventually, all the fast people came back to us and they were at our pace eventually because they were going through what you might call the death spiral, where you get slower and slower until you essentially can't keep up and then you're out of the race. And so they would come back to us and we would just hold on to these people as long as we could. We were super kind to them the whole time.
Sure.
And, but I think they saw us, like I said, joking and laughing. And as they're in their death spiral, they're like, well, these guys are never going to stop. And we're like, well, we might not. And I just remember we were getting down to a point and people after the race told me, they're like, there was no way it wasn't going to be you or Daniel. And they're like, we realized this 50 miles in, and this race went
Wow.
104 miles. And
What?
just because, yeah, just because the vibe we were having so
Mhm.
much fun and
Mm.
running at the same time. So then when you're suffering and you fall back to people having fun, you're like, well, I can't beat those people. Like I'm in the pain cave and they're over there partying. So that's one of my favorite memories is just me and Daniel, my buddy Dan, just running together for so long and then getting the win and the assist was the cherry on top, if you will. But it was just really enduring together and showing that strength of what you can do, not alone, but with somebody else.
Mm. Better together. That's great.
Yes.
Mm.
What do they say? If you want to run fast, go alone. If you want to run far, go together.
Mm. That's good. Yeah. Mm.
Something like that.
Mhm. So you mentioned that you don't listen to music while you're out racing, but you did mention that maybe you listen occasionally when you're at home, that sort of thing. What does your running playlist sound like?
Well, that's just as bad as the shoes, if not worse. Well, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah, we can go from Tyler Childers to Forrest Frank to Big X the Plug to Pop Smoke to Jelly Roll, right? Like,
Mm, mhm.
to Hank Williams Jr., and it's all in the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, to Katy Perry, like, it's all in there. Like, a lot of the smash hits from the 2000s
Mhm.
too, because like, that's my growing up
Mhm.
stages in there is all the 2000s really fun stuff. So, if I was to choose things, I really like Tyler Childers. The beats of his songs and the stories they tell are
Mm,
really good for running, like
mhm.
when I'm just doing training runs and such. But like I said, I don't know if you know who Big X the Plug is, but he's a big rapper, and when I say big, he's overweight, and but and he goes hard in his lyrics, and
Okay.
like they're a little bit vulgar, so it's like off base for me, like as a Christian. But for some reason, it really fires me up when I run, and when I lift mainly
Mhm.
is when I listen to music.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's really all over the place, and I like that because I think if you get too locked into the same thing, it can control your pace. I know for a
Mm,
while I
mhm.
was listening to a lot of EDM, like dance music,
Okay.
dubstep stuff.
Yeah.
It's impossible to run slow to that. Like it is physically impossible. Like I'll start, okay, we're gonna run tens today, and if that song comes on, I'm at sub 7 immediately.
That's
So
fantastic.
can't have it.
Not today. Not today.
No, no,
Right.
that's for speed days only.
Let's shift a little bit to recovery. Do you have a favorite recovery tool?
My girlfriend got me the compression
Ooh,
sleeves,
yeah.
and
Mhm.
I gawked at those for a little while. Those are for fancy people.
Mm,
Like, those are probably expensive and, like, "Why are you wearing this on your legs?" Like, it was like, "Dude, I'll just stretch." But they've been incredible. I love them. And, so those and then I don't know if we consider this a recovery tool, but I'm a big Epsom salt bath
yeah,
guy.
yeah, absolutely.
I will hit 2 a day
Mm,
for probably 3 or 4 days straight after a race, and I think it helps my recovery immensely.
mhm.
So I would say those 2 things, along with just packing in protein and food and
Mm,
just, like, really getting everything, 'cause I lose weight most of the time,
mm,
and I try to not.
mhm.
So that's a goal as well. But yeah, I would say a huge thing is just the Epsom salt bath and the compression leg sleeves.
That is very fancy. Very nice. I like it. Let's talk about, do you have a favorite cross training activity? You mentioned lifting a little bit. Is that what you do for cross training?
Yeah, I lift
Mhm.
5, 6 days a week.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I always tell people, like, I'm trying to fight the runner's body stigma,
Mhm,
I
mhm.
don't like, I tell people, I don't want anybody to look at me and be like, "Oh, he looks like a runner." Although, once you start running and this isn't a bad thing, folks, this is just my ego, so don't take this the wrong way. This is just me being in the military for too long and thinking I have to have muscles when, honestly, I could probably be a better runner if I didn't, but if I'm running 50-mile weeks, it seems impossible to keep it on. You have to eat so much, like 50 miles plus. And when you get up into 70, 80, 100 miles a week, it's impossible.
Mhm.
So I've lost some weight, but yeah, cross training with that. And then I do a lot of hit stuff too. I was
Nice.
training for a high rocks.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not doing it, but yeah, I pulled out of it, but it's just there's too much going on. Like I'm pacing my buddy Eric and I'm doing 35 miles the weekend before that High Rocks. And
Mhm.
then Cocodona is a month after the High Rocks.
Oh,
So it's a lot of traveling because it was in Miami and then I'll be going to Arizona a month later. And it's like, Dylan, we got to reel back on life a little bit. But I'll probably do one in the future. I enjoy that kind of training. I
mhm.
enjoy hit style workouts and things like that. So that's most of my cross training.
Ah, dude, that's awesome. Wow. So let's say that somebody's listening and they're like, wow, I want to be like Dylan. What is a piece of advice you would tell somebody that wants to get started running?
Do it slow, trust the process, don't get discouraged when it's not going the way that you want it to. I talk to a lot of people that want to get into running or sobriety or faith,
Mhm.
and we all want the good feeling too fast.
Mm,
So, understanding that the good feeling might take a little longer than you desire it is something you have to understand. And then having somebody that is accountable for your actions, whether that's somebody else that runs, whether, like I said, I use Jesus because
mhm,
whatever, and this is a mantra I have too, is self respect. But whatever I tell myself is more to me as a Christian, is I'm also telling that to God, right? Because
mhm,
I am a child of God and
mhm,
the Holy Spirit dwells within me. Therefore, when I tell myself I'm going to do a 5 mile run, we don't do just 4 because then I would have lied to me, which then in turn lies to Jesus, which means does that make
yeah,
sense?
yeah,
And
absolutely.
so that's when I don't have a true accountability training partner, which I do a lot of the time, but if I don't, I can fall back to that. So if anybody's starting on their own, that's a good place to be. Also, if you're getting into running, enjoy the fact that it's hard because eventually you're going to search this out, especially ultra runners, right? We like wait for it to get hard and we're like, hey, we made it here, we got here. And in the beginning of running, you don't want it to ever get hard. You want it to seem easy the whole time. When it gets hard, you're ready to quit. And it takes a long time to build that endurance to where you really are searching for the hard stuff, but eventually it'll come. And so it's really being patient and present with where you're at. And once again, having a lot of gratitude that you're even able to run. I tell people so often to be able to run is so special. And that's not just because you don't have legs or you're too old. There are people who live in countries where they literally aren't allowed to run, right? And these are
Mhm,
things that cross my mind.
yeah.
And Chad Wright, the former Navy SEAL, says something for those who can't,
Mm,
right? And it's always a huge motivator. And this could be people that are deceased,
mhm,
enabled, disabled, or like I said, just unfortunately live in a country where they do not have the freedom
mm.
to go out and run.
Ab
So being really grateful that you're even able to is really special. It's really special.
absolutely. Oh, man. That was really good. So, looking at some goals, what does that look like for you? What are we looking at?
Yeah, the big goal, the scary one, the unreachable one is top 10 at Cocodona.
Oh,
So
that's amazing.
yeah, I'm gonna attempt to run a race that could put me into that space. So that's what we're planned for. And if things drop down, then that's what happens. But yeah, and who knows? Maybe the top 10's too low and we do even better I don't know, but we don't know till we get there. But yeah, so a top 10 in Cocodona is right now it's a short-term goal. I guess we're getting pretty close. And then also just a goal of mine is always to continue to spread the gospel through my
Mhm,
faith, fitness, and sobriety. And I've been really lucky. Like one of my goals is to speak and to spread my message and to tell my story. And so thanking people like yourself
mm,
and the other podcasts, like just recently I got reached out to go on multiple podcasts. And that is an opportunity for me to accomplish the goal of spreading my story to help others.
mm,
And that's a goal that I try to live out all the time. And that's why my social media is full of my story and my lived experiences and my opinions, because I hope that someday they help somebody else. There were people in my life that I think, including myself, my former self, that needed the advice that I'm giving now.
mm.
And so if I was to not share the advice, it seems selfish. So one of my goals is to spread the message, my message, and messages of so many people to as many people as possible for the goal of helping others.
Dude, that's awesome. That's so good. You've mentioned it here and there throughout a little bit, but when things get hard and you've talked about going through that, the pain cave, pushing through the endurance, how it makes us stronger. Do you have a mantra? Is there something that you tell yourself along with we're not letting the former self catch us?
A lot of it's knowing that there's growth every time you push through,
Mhm.
that you're getting stronger, not just physically, but mentally. Every time you move through that wall that seems to be in front of you. And sometimes the wall is hard to overcome. And sometimes you may not overcome the wall. But every time I get through it, I know that I'm getting better and things are going to be better in the future.
Mm.
If I was, like I said, the mantra is for those who can't, or if you did the last mile, you can do the next mile. If you took the last step, you could take the next step. But a lot of it, my motivation when times get tough is recalling where I've been and things I've been through and the emotional things that I've been through in my life that were either done onto myself or done to me unchosen. They're much harder than 85 miles deep in the race and I have to climb up a hill.
Mm.
As much as physically that feels painful, as soon as I can recall things I went through as a child with my mother's addiction or things like this, that climb is easy. And not everybody has the same traumas that I do, but
Sure.
everybody does have some.
Absolutely.
And this goes for more than just getting through the struggles in racing, but in life as well,
Mhm.
is recalling the moments that you've gotten through, like I said, either done onto yourself or not. They can drive you through whatever you're in right now. And that's one of the main things that I call back to is just knowing that I've been through so much worse than whatever's in front of me in a race. I chose this. I wanted this. I'm
Mhm.
right where I'm supposed to be. How could I possibly forfeit myself out of it? This is where I'm supposed to be. This is where I want to be. This is what I've looked for when in so many times I was in a place that I didn't want to be. So I just have to push through this because this is what I want to do.
Mm. Oh, that's so good. Dylan, when it's training day or whether it's race day, do you have a favorite length that you like to run? Like you just get all pumped up and excited when you know you get to run that?
Yeah, I run this road out. It's about 7 miles from my house called Jordan Springs Road. And I call myself the king of Jordan Springs Road. Nobody really knows that, just me. And it's right outside the military base, and it's just a 2-lane high. I ran a full marathon out there, down and back, and I saw 2 cars, right? So it's perfect. And so I go out there. It's a little bit of rolling hills, but it's mainly flat. It's really pretty out there. There's some open fields. There's some trees. Like yesterday, I ran there. The sun was setting while I ran. So going out there, it's a really happy place for me to be. I put a lot of miles down out there and I just really enjoy it. We have a
Mhm.
couple trail systems that I like out here, but really, if I can just go out and get some miles on Jordan Springs Road, I'm really having a good time.
Dude, that's awesome. Oh, wow, I love that. King of Jordan Springs. That's fantastic. You should
Yeah.
add that to your resume.
Yeah, I think I titled one run that, and when we had the ice storm here a few weeks ago, I was putting inaugural half marathon champion of Jordan Springs. Nobody else is running it, right? But I'm the champ, and so I have a lot of fun out there, and like I said, like, when talking about that, when it iced over, I put spikes on my shoes. They're attachable spikes from
Mhm.
Amazon, which also actually that could be added to tools that I would never
Mm.
forget in an ice storm at least. And I ran miles and miles out there. And it's so much fun when it snows to run, especially in a place like that, because it's only my foot tracks. There's like mine and then
Mm.
animals, and that's it. And that's always a really cool feeling. And it's almost primal, where
Mhm.
it really seems like there's no technology, there's no vehicles, like there's no phone calls happening. And that's where I'll really leave my phone behind and not look at my watch. And it's just me and nature and the animals. And
Mm.
that's always a really cool feeling.
Yeah, wow. Living in South Alabama, we only get snow every decade. So, but when it happens, it's pretty cool. So, yeah,
And come up north,
that's
you
right.
have a time.
So, Dylan, when you're not running, what fuels you? What are you passionate about?
My faith, of
Mhm,
course, I've
mhm.
spoke about that a ton. Working on my relationship with my girlfriend, like, we have a really tight relationship right now, and to be honest, when you change your life a lot, you lose a lot of your relationships
Mm,
that you once had,
sure.
and we're both going through changing times in our lives in the last couple years, so doing that together is something that we're working on, and it's exciting and scary and tough all at the same time,
Sure.
but I enjoy it because I know there's growth in it.
Mm,
And then also just encouraging people to get into running. I really enjoy that. And so people at work are starting to get into it. And I got a guy to sign up for the Tennessee Mile in December. And so he'll tell me about his runs, stuff like that. Or people ask me about fitness and faith and sobriety all the time. And for some reason, it's my favorite pastime
mm,
to get a message from somebody and they go, "Hey, man, I'm 2 months sober because I saw your thing. Like, I really
Mhm.
appreciate it. Is there any advice you have for me to get through XYZ? And what a compliment for
Mhm.
somebody to even be vulnerable enough to message another, especially if it's like man to man. There's such a tough stigma to get through there.
Mm.
And I really enjoy being able to just give advice based on my lived experiences and hope that helps somebody else.
Dude, that's awesome. That's absolutely fantastic. Dylan, this has been a blast. Your story is absolutely incredible. You are just a joy. Do you have any final words of wisdom?
Be grateful. Write it down to be grateful. Choose joy. I heard it. One of my girlfriend's best friends passed away recently, and she was battling cancer for months and years and would just say, choose joy, right? And that was her mantra. And to know
Mhm.
that somebody in that circumstance is still choosing joy, right? Then it circles back to being grateful for what you have. Gratitude and gratefulness is the number one thing that I tell anybody is finding what's great in your life and pursuing it and finding your purpose. There's so many people that don't know what they're doing. They have no purpose, and that puts you in a scary, dangerous place. So once you find it, chase it
Mhm.
and never let your old self catch up.
Oh, so good. Dylan, this has been amazing. We are going to be cheering for you for Cocodona and just incredibly grateful for your story. I know it was not easy, what all that you've gone through, but coming on here and sharing it, I just want to say thank you so much for that.
Well, thank you, Allison, for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely incredible, Dylan. Oh, so good. You are just amazing. And I'm so proud of your story. I'm so proud of who you are. I'm so proud to know you and now to call you my friend. And I'm cheering for you. I can't wait to see what else you accomplish. And I'll be watching closely because I'm such a fangirl now. Make sure you guys go follow him, cheer him on, listen to his podcast. Have fun with him. He really is a bright light. And thank you, Dylan, for your heart, for what you're doing in this running community and what you're doing for your fellow man. It's absolutely incredible. And so thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being vulnerable. And thank you for showing us what an overcomer looks like. And we're so proud of you. Also, thank you again to our friends at Magnolia Soap Company, our friends at Kinda Gritty, and we have a very special friend from the Mancy's Run Club who they have all made possible chariots for our local chapter. And so we are in awe of this. We are so stinking excited. So reach out, go find Magnolia Soap Company of Mobile, order from them, go in, tell them thank you, send them a message and say thank you so much for supporting Ainsley's Angels of South Alabama. If you've not ran a Kinda Gritty race, please sign up, please support them because they supported this local chapter of Ainsley's and we are so stinking honored by that. And please check out the run clubs. Please check out Mancy's Run Club. They have some extraordinary people there who were like, we want to be a part of this chapter, and it's incredible. So thank you to Mancy's Run Club and your special friend who said, I want to buy a chariot, and he did. So it's absolutely incredible, the running community. And on behalf of the South Alabama chapter, just want to say thank you. Thank you to everybody who has signed up to be part of this story. Thank you to our riders and runners. Thank you to Magnolia Soap Company of Mobile, to Kinda Gritty, and again to our friend from Mancy's who believe in us so much. And also Panini Pete's at the waterfront and their PR campaign because they're making things possible for our chapter as well. And so thank you for believing in us and allowing us the equipment to be the legs of riders. And so we are very excited. I know this chapter is over the moon pumped and this community is pretty doggone amazing. So make sure that you guys reach out to Gilliard Tech Services. Greg Gilliard does an exceptional job with the website, editing the podcast. He's been working on websites for nonprofits. He's been working on websites for corporate. So just reach out to him and say, hey man, can you take a look at my website? Or I have no idea where to start on a website. He's your go-to. So that is Gilliard Tech Services. Make sure that you follow him on social media. Make sure that you also reach out to him. You can find him on the Run Your Story page. You can also find him at Gilliard Tech Services. To our Patreon family members, we love you. We adore you. We're so thankful for you and all that you do. You guys are a lot like Dylan. You are a light in this running community, and I'm incredibly grateful for every single one of you and what you do and how you make us better individuals and better runners. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for believing in this and for believing in who we are as this podcast. And guys, make sure you like, share, comment. Make sure that Dylan's story gets out there. Make sure every story gets out there because you never know who you're going to inspire. You never know who needs to hear your story. And with that being said, go run your story because every story needs to be heard.